Live. Yeah, we should be live now.
Okay, so we're live. All right. So the topic of today is open worlds, which happens to be landscapes for a lot of topics that are related to open worlds cover landscapes. But it's not only that; it's actually a lot of workflows and you know, it's just the way of approaching open worlds. It's different from creating any other kind of game with a smaller map because you cannot really do it manually. And if you have a small team or if you are a one-man army, then creating an open world and doing it everything by hand, it's gonna take a while. At the same time, if you are a huge team, it also takes some time. So how can we handle this? How can we handle creating open worlds? So in this live stream, we're going to create this open world with an automatic material. Notice that I haven't painted anything here. And what I can do also is to paint some grass here, like this. And if I get close enough, I will spawn some grass. So I have some automatic material going on here.
Ooh.
So yeah, so we're gonna create this one because a lot of people are asking how you create one. And we're gonna go through the principles of how you can create this. We're gonna use War Machine, but actually you can use anything you want. The principles are the same. So we're gonna create this landscape. And also we're, as a bonus, we're going to go through some workflows of how you can create like villages or architecture inside your map and how you can do some instancing in a real so that you can populate the world faster. So first things first, why are open worlds so special? So if you see this map, this is actually pretty small. If I play my game here, let's go to our work settings, use our night here. So you can see that it's fairly big, but it's really not that big as it looks like. And what I mean by that is that you can still fairly finish this open world if you are one person. You can paint by hand and do a lot of things. However, if you meant to create a bigger world, which this one is a 1K by 1K, if you create like an 8K, it's gonna be exponentially higher. And what I mean by that is like this one has a tile of 4 by 4. So if I check the manage, you can see here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I have more than that. But when I create a landscape, I will have like components here that I can use. So for example, if it's 4 by 4, I will have a maximum of 16, which is basically this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is my 4 by 4, and each component has its own tile. So the problem is when you want to do something much bigger. For example, you want to do a 32 by 32, which I completely forgot how much was this. Let me do a
4K.
multiply really fast. 4K, 1K.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one, and then you have a 64 by 64,
Yeah, that's a lot.
which I believe it's even higher. So like 4096. And if you check one block like this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and 16 is okay. Like we have a little bit more than 16 here. I think we have 32, which is fairly small, but imagine trying to make a world of 1K or 4K. So, or even more than that. So how you handle this is essentially you want to automate as much as possible. And the way we do this is that, first of all, we don't sculpt the landscapes. If I go here, if I sculpt, let me try to sculpt something here. If I go to my landscape tool, hit sculpt, you can see that as I increase my brush, I can sculpt this and I can get something. And you can see that the problem with this approach is that, one, it takes a lot of time, and two, it doesn't look too natural compared to this one. So we will take a look at how we create this one. So a lot of people ask, so how do you do it? Do you do everything outside of Unreal, like you go to Gaia, or you go to Houdini, or you go to War Machine, and you create a height map? And then how do you modify it? So the workflow is pretty simple. You want to use these like layers. So for example, like if you think of this as Photoshop, because this is a 2D map actually that is projected in 3D, you have your layer 0 here, and then you have your layer 1 like this, right? So your layer 0 is actually your height map. It could be something like this. And then your layer 1 will be edits that you do on top of your layer 0 here. Like for example, you chop this, you make this one flatter, and you do some refinement here and there. Especially when you want to put towns, like you want to put a house here, you want to make sure the terrain is flat. And most of the time, the height map doesn't do that. So the best of both worlds is to create a auto material, we will call it that way. Not really automatic, but it really saves some time. And the other one is the manual work. So let's go step by step. First, the way I create this is that, oh, amazing. I have some grass here. Looks like I have some height map here. Anyway, so the thing is, we want to create this landscape, and there are several ways to do it. You can do it in Houdini or Gaia or War Machine. In my case, I'm going to use War Machine because, you know, it's free, it's fast, and it goes straight to the point. So what I have here in War Machine are a set of outputs. One, I have my height map, which is what I will use in my landscape. And the other thing is that I have my bitmap. If you check here, if I make this one bigger, I have a texture here. If I go to Unreal, I have my textures here, my auto material, which is my red channel looks like this, my green channel like this, and my blue channel looks like this. Okay, and I also have another mask, which is my layer color. So in the layer color, we can use this to add more variation to our mask. So in War Machine, we create this mask by basically creating the RGB channels. And normally what you have is a noise with a erosion applied on it. So this looks, you know, if you take a look at this, this looks fairly unnatural. But if I go to my erosion tab, once I apply some erosion into it, it looks very natural. So basically, every landscape you will apply erosion and it will look really nice. I hope that Unreal 5 in the future will support adding erosion to the landmass to have more realistic results. I'm sure they will work on something like that because it will be really nice to use the landmass plugin and then use the erosion features to create really realistic landscapes in Unreal without going to any other 3D modeling application. So the second thing is that I have some inputs here. And if you check the slope, I just right click and create a slope. And if I check the height field here, I can create a slope based on an angle, something like this. And I can play with it, and I can just choose any angle I want. I can change the fall off to make it more tight or more like smooth. I can also invert my selection. And I did the same here for these two. And I put this in the red channel and the green channel. So the red channel looks like this. The green channel looks like this. And the blue channel is an equalizer. And what the equalizer does is that it basically will grab one of this mask. This is my flow mask that looks like this. And it will output a grayscale value. So combine those, I have something like this, which is my map. Usually in Gaia and or in War Machine, we will have the option to export these outputs. So we are exporting this slug mask here. We are exporting this bitmap material here. And we're exporting this height map, right? So I have all these textures here. So what I'm gonna do is to create the landscape again. So if I go to new level, let's go to time of day. I will delete these ones. All right. Put my night because my night is awesome. So I will put the landscape here. And when you create the landscape, you can specify how many sections you want. In my case, in World Machine, if I go to project and then project settings, I already specify like my dimensions is like 1K. It's like 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers. And that's basically my resolution, 124. It's padding by 1, so we need to do something extra here. So instead of creating new, what we will do is to create from file. So what we will do is to grab the landscape height here. Okay, and this will create our landscape. But before doing this, what we need to do is to reduce one size by 1 so that we don't have the padding. And also we will click edit layers so that we have the ability to edit layers just like Photoshop, but inside Unreal. So let's go to that, and we won't apply any material for now. So if we click import, now we have the same thing we had before. We have our material, our landscape, and we can do a bunch of things here. We can create a new layer. We can sculpt here, or we could actually do a copy. For example, I can select this piece here. I can scale it to make sure I have everything. And then I can copy the data. It's like this. Copy data to Gizmo. Let's see. Let me see here why it's not copying. Oh, looks like we need to copy in the right layer, actually. In this layer, we don't have the data here. So if we copy the data, then we will have this data here that we can use. And we can actually make it bigger. We can paint here our landscape. And if I press Shift 1, you can see I have the same data here, but I'm using it here. So I'm gonna undo this. we're gonna go into more workflows of how we edit the landscape layer later, but right now we're going to create a landscape auto material because it's something that people are a little bit scared, and they shouldn't. It's really easy. Unreal makes it extremely easy to create an auto material. You just need to have the right concepts to understand what's behind it. So if I go to my landscape, you will see that if I click on paint, I have different target layers. And these layers are like Photoshop. So I have my layer 0, layer 1, 2, 3, and 4, as many as I want. The landscape auto material works like this is the base material. And we will put the auto material in the base material, which is the layer 0. And then the rest of the layers just works as usual, where we paint our landscape different materials and we can have control manually. Okay, so what we're gonna do is to create these layers inside the material so that our landscape can read the information from the material and apply it in the landscape. So before doing that, any questions so far?
Yeah, two questions. There is Federico that says that already follows the Spanish version of this channel and was asking if we were gonna explain something extra.
Yeah, like I just show, we will show how to create the automatic material. We will show some extra methods to, use the material landscapes and to show off how you can create your own auto material a little bit more complex than before by using the slope mask. And also we will go through creating villages and things like that. The concepts are pretty much universal. We focus on fundamentals. So that's why we will show now.
Great. And the other question is that the Crix asked, is that the dimension div are kind of LODs for the landscape?
I think you mean this this thing. Let me put let's call this level auto 01. Let me create a new one. Really easy. So if I go here, by default is 17. So if I import, you will see that I have some padding here, like this, which I don't want. That's why we reduce the size of the components before creating -1 at the beginning, so we don't have this issue. I'm not sure if that's what the question is really about, but that's how I understood it.
Yeah, if that wasn't the question, you can write to us again in the chat. No problem. We can take a look at again.
Yeah. By the way, in Unreal 5, tessellation is not working in the landscapes. In the sense we are loading all the triangles at once. And this shouldn't happen in Unreal 4. There should be an update coming for landscapes in Unreal 5 in the future, in a more stable version of Unreal 5. But for now, we're just gonna deal with that since Unreal 5 comes with other nice features. But keep in mind that LODs of the triangles are not handled in Unreal 5. So let's open our previous level. Any other one before going on?
Nope. No.
Okay, so we have our height map and we need to create our landscape auto material. So if I go here, I have these textures that I export from World Machine, which is fairly simple. I just show how to use it. You can use anything like Houdini or Gaia to export this mask. And how this mask works is like the way you gonna treat your landscape, it's the same as you will treat any other kind of 3D mesh. We're just going to use the mask and we're going to apply different materials for each channel. So let's go to this folder and let's create our material. This will be our M landscape auto material master. Okay. So if I double click this, I will have my landscape auto material. I mean, it's just my empty material. And if you are unfamiliar with the material editor, feel free to watch other videos of introduction to materials. There are several out there. For us, I will just do a quick one. So in case you're lost, you can still follow through. So this is our graph where we will create our logic for a material. This is our viewport where we will preview our material, how it looks like. These are some properties that we have in our materials. And of course, these are some statistics that we can use to check how any instructions our material is using to check if it's very heavy or not. And I will just right click and we can create different nodes here and drag them into different inputs and outputs so we can create our material. So let's see how, let's drag our two textures here. Let me save this one first. Let's drag these textures. And the first thing, I'm gonna select those, and from my properties, I'm gonna change this to shared wrap so that I can have more options to put more textures in my material. So if you check here, I have my textures and I have this one. I can easily connect this one here to my base color and apply it. And if I want to check my material, actually, oops, let's see if okay, goes away. So let's create a material instance and let's create mi landscape base 01 auto. Okay, so this is my material instance, which is an instance of this material. So any changes we do here will propagate to the children and we can change parameters here. So if I click this one, I go to my world. If I check the properties, if I click F4, you can see the details panel. I can scroll down or up until I find my landscape material. So I will click here and then I will click this one. Okay, and now our material is applied. You can see we have our texture here that is like this. So for this type of material, we want to change the coordinates. So what we will do is to, if I press tab, I can type landscape, and I have different types of landscape nodes. In my case, I want my landscape layer coordinates, which are my coordinates for this one. So very easy. We're just gonna put this one by 124. And we're gonna connect this one. Here looks like nothing has happened, and the reason is super big. But if I go here, you can see that I have my texture applied. Now, the problem using this is that the resolution is super low. So you don't really want to do this. But just to illustrate how our mask looks like, we can put this one here. Okay. And let's connect our coordinates here so we can take a look at our mask. So this is how our mask looks like. Now, if this is a little bit confusing to you, let's try to isolate each channel. So for example, I can put, if I hold 3, I can put my red one here. I can put my blue one, my green one, like this, and I can put my blue one here. Okay, so let me create this one, a black. So I will lerp these nodes by holding L, and I will grab the red one. I will put in the alpha, and the red I will go to B, and the black go here. And then I will put this one. So you will notice that everything, my red is applying into this channel. And actually, I can just make this one white. Okay. So if I apply my material, you can see that my material will apply in the white areas and not in the black ones. I can do the same for the rest of the channels, like the green one. I can apply it. And then I will have a different kind of mask. And lastly, I can grab the blue one. I can apply it. And you will see I have my other mask, which is my flow map, which is basically what the terrain will create when there is rain, and it will create a river. Think like the river areas where the water will eventually come down from the mountain and go down here. So these are my maps. So I have my red, green, and blue channel. So what I want to do is to create a material for each one of those. And you can create as many as you want. In my case, I will start with 4 materials. Okay. So let's go to our content browser. Let's save everything. And I have a collection here, which is basically my favorite assets that I use. If you want to create a new collection, let's just say you want to create a new collection for this, you can click here, collection, local share collection, and this will be my auto material. And then if I go to my landscape auto material, I can grab all of these assets and put them here. So now if I lose it, I can just click my collections, and I have the same for different kinds of assets that I like to use for my projects. In my case, I already have these textures that I want to use that I grabbed from Quixel Megascans. So what we will do is to Control B, and let's grab the roughness here. If you grab from Quixel your textures and it's black and white, do not worry, just click on mask here and you will have all your channels working correctly. So basically our red channel will be, looks like it's our ambient occlusion, our green channel is our roughness, and our blue channel is our displacement. So let's save this. And what I want to do is to grab all 3 here, and I want to put them here. Okay. So what I will do is to create a material from this. Okay. So how am I going to do it? I will right click and type make material attributes. And this will allow me to create a material inside a material. So if I go here to my RGB channels, I will go to my base color. I will plug the normal here, and I will choose my, I believe my green channel is my roughness, so I will put it here. And I can just swap these nodes to be a little bit more organized. So this is my first material. And if I press C, I can comment in my rock 1, or I can even put my mossy rock. Okay. Later, if we have time, we will take a look how we can create functions so that we don't need to create them all over again. For now, we will start simple and we will add complexity little by little. So hang in there, stay with me. This is very simple, actually. So let me go to my other texture. This will be my grass texture. I will do the same here to grab my mask. Just like I did before, I will just put my mask compression setting so I can grab my 3 channels. And I can grab these textures, can put them here, just like this. And you notice that this process takes a little bit of time, and it's normal. It's repetitive. We just need to duplicate and do the same here. Okay, and this will be our grass, just like that. And we will go to our other collection. This will be our rocky cliff. So we will go here, grab this. Okay, and we will do the same. Control C, Control V. Now you can see why it will be helpful for us to create the functions for these ones so that we can have a collection of different materials and we just grab them from the content browser here. So let's click comment, and this will be my rocky cliff. Okay. And also I will create another one. This will be my last texture here. I will go here, do the same like I did before. I will change this one to mask so I can have access to my displacement and ambient occlusion and other mask that I can use.
Out for
Let's wait a
crashes.
bit. No, this takes a while because it's 8K texture. The other ones are 4K. I really don't remember why I import 8K texture to this, but you know, it's done. So let's deal with it. Recommendation, try to not use too heavy textures for now. I know we can increase the textures resolution by quite a bit for the new generation, but just as a rule of thumb, just don't try to put more than you need. If one texture looks great with 4K or 2K, or even less, like 512, just use that. You don't need to go too high. So let's connect this. And actually, if my memory doesn't betray me, this will be my ambient occlusion in the red channel. So I will grab the red channel to my ambient occlusion here, so I can have a little bit more detail. Okay, and I will do the same for those to my red channel, go to ambient occlusion, just like this. Okay, so there is one more thing that I want to do, is to put some coordinates. So I will hold U to create my texture coordinates, or you can type texture coordinates like this, and then M to multiply, or I can just type multiply, and then hold 1 and click to create a constant. Now I will multiply these texture coordinates just like I did here, but I won't use the landscape coordinates. I will use normal coordinates. So because this is a very big landscape, I will put something like 0.09 to start with. And I will also multiply this one. Let's create this, convert to parameter and put L1. This will be my layer 1. And I will hold this one here. So I can modify all of those individually, and this will be my master tile, something like that. Okay, so I can just copy and paste here. And like If you're wondering why I'm using layer 1, layer 2 instead of putting the name of rock, grass, sand, and texture, the reason I do this is because in the future we may change these textures, and if you work in a game before, in the project there are a lot of changes, and suddenly it's easier to change the texture, but it's not so easy to change the names of these layers. So in the future you have something like grass layer, and you paint grass and you get rock. So in order to prevent this, it's a good practice to put everything by numbers. So layer 1 is layer 1, and that's it. And get surprised what you get with layer 1. So I will do the same for these ones. And this will be my layer 3. And this will be my layer 4. And I will also change this comment rocky sand. Okay. Put this one here. And now you can forget all about these things. If you create a function, you can reuse your library and you don't need to do this again. So now that we have this, we need to put the base layer here. And these are materials. And the way we lerp these nodes is by holding L. And notice that if I click here, I cannot put this one here. And the reason is this is a material. This is not a vector or a float that we can blend. So the way we are going to use this, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to type blend material. You will see that I have different material layer blends here. What I want to choose is the material blend standard. You can either use the simple or the standard. I find that the standard has more options, but it's fairly more complex. So we will use the standard. So for the standard, we will have our base material, our top material, and our alpha. So just to try things out, we will try to put our grass here as our base material. And then I will put my top material, let's say it will be my sand. Okay, so let's put our sand here. Let's grab it here. Now, anything that is on top will be my white texture. So let's delete this for now. We don't need it anymore. And if I go here, I can grab my mask and I can choose my red channel here. So my red channel, let's use, what are you saying here? Put the grass on the bottom, just like this. The grass will be here. And then on top, wherever you find white in this texture, we are going to paint the other material. So let's say if it's 1 here and it's 0 here in my texture, which is white here, I will put the sand on top. And if it's 0, I will just keep the base material here, which is my grass. If you want to preview this node, you can hold A to put an add node. And I will put this here. And I right click, start previewing node. It's a little hard to preview here because our landscape coordinates are too big. But basically, the white dots will be our top material. Okay, so we will do the same for the rest of materials. And actually, let's just put this material for now to see how it looks like. So let's put our base color like this. And you notice that I cannot put this one here. And what I'm going to do is to break material attributes. Okay, so I break material attributes and I will put my base color here. my roughness here. My specular, I will put 0 because I don't want any specular in my landscape. I will put my normal here and my ambient occlusion here. And this will be good enough, I guess. So if I go to my material, you can see that it's kind of working. We have our grass here and our rock pebbles here. So it's working, right? So basically, our rocks will be our white texture that we have here, and the black texture will show the grass, which we don't want. So let's just keep layering on top. You can play with this to see which kind of material you want to use next. But I'm gonna duplicate this one. And my base material will be this one now. This is my new layer. And now my top material will be maybe my rocky cliff. Or let's just put my mossy rock here. Just like that. And we will put the alpha here will be my green channel. And I will put it here. Hit apply. And look what I have. Now I have my rock material here, and I have this one. And obviously my grass is disappearing because, it's my base and there are not enough white spots for it anymore. It's a pity, but it's okay. That's what we want. We don't want our grass to spawn first. And last one will be our rock cliff. So let's duplicate this one. Put our base material here, and top material will be our rocky cliff. And then we will go to our alpha here, and we'll grab here, and we will put it here. Okay. Now that I do that, now we'll have 3 materials. I have my rocky cliff. I have my other material that I can use. And I have this one. Okay. So what do we do now? Because we cannot paint anything here. Like if we play from here, it's nice. We have our ground and we have our mountains, and we can play with those. It's fairly nice to have this automatic setup. But we cannot do any change. Let's say I want this area to have grass or something. We cannot paint. And the reason we cannot paint is because we are not creating any paint layers in our landscape. So this is what we're gonna do next. So far, any question?
Yeah, we had just to not diverge too much from the what you were talking about. Liam asked, I use Photoshop a lot in my job, and the RGB channels correlate to the luminosity in those specific color ranges. But here we're talking about height, not luminosity, right? So why RGB here? And well, he specified that he was new to Unreal. So
okay,
did you understand?
Yeah. So height map is just a convention name we use for landscapes. So the real value is these RGB channels, which are, like you say, luminosity values are from 0 to 1. And my red channel has, because we are talking about RGB, we are not printing like physical print, we are using pixels. Our red channel will be this one. And this is the luminosity of this one, actually. The green channel will be this one, and the blue channel will be this one. So together combined looks something like this. That doesn't really tells us everything, but these are grayscale channels. Actually, if you go here, you can see that we have our grayscale here. The height map is just a convention name we use for games, because the height is just the 0 to 1 value. It's like this one. This will be a height map where 0 is the lowest part and 1 is the highest part, is the brightest. That's why we call it height, because it goes from the ground to the top. And this will give us the real displacement settings that actually create this landscape. But the concepts are the same. Height map is just a convention we use in games.
Yeah, and about that, they say, yeah, makes sense. In this instance, the red channel could be reserved for tall parts and of the height map, and the blue could be for the lowest, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly how it should be. You can, of course, try to mix it and try to create your own setups. If I go to War Machine, you can see I've been playing a lot with my maps here. There is no right or wrong way to do it. You just want to have enough variation so that you can have something to start with. The auto material won't solve all your problems, but it will solve your initial problems that is blocking out the landscape. But you can play with any kind of map. And the best way to do it is just do it like we have just done it just right now. Just try to play with it and see how it looks like in Unreal. And you can always change these channels and create different maps if you want. There is no right or wrong way to do this.
There was another question, the follow-up to the first question that Chris made, about the landscape, about the divisions. He, they were talking about when you create the landscape, you specify the number of sections. I was wondering what those sections are for. I believe it's
The
just the size.
sections.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sections are a way to put the components in memory.
Yeah.
So right now you don't see it because I don't have my word partition. But if I click word partition here, you will see that each tile, and especially if I create external actors in my project, you will see that each tile will look like this here. And I can choose which tile I want to load and which ones I don't. For example, I want to load all these tiles, but I don't want to load these ones. And the reason why this is important is because when you create a huge landscape, when you load the entire landscape, it's going to take a while to load. Especially if it's very big. We saw at the beginning that it can be like 8 kilometers. It can take a while. This landscape, it's fairly small. But if you have a big one, you want to select these components in your file per actor to actually load different sections of your landscape so you don't have your computer crash after loading the landscape. Especially after you put the materials and the procedural stuff, that it would load all the meshes there. You don't want to load all of them at once. This is why we use the components.
Right. And yeah, in the creation of the landscapes, there are created into sections because really the landscape is just like a grid. So we have little cells. So that's why we have 1 by 1 or 4 by 4, and you can specify the size of those sections. And
Yep.
we have two questions. One says, is this only for Word Machine or can we use Gaia?
Any software will do. I use War Machine because, it's fairly simple. You can use Gaia too. The important thing is that you get all these maps here, the slope mask and the height map we export at the beginning. That's the important thing. How the software you use, it really doesn't matter as long as you get the textures, because you only need the textures in Unreal. You can use any software you are more comfortable with.
Right. And the last one was from Baymax. They say, what packs do you recommend from the marketplace? And I mentioned we recommend our packs. You can find them in
Of
the,
course.
yeah, time for the shameless promotion. And I already dropped the link.
Yeah.
I will put it on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have really nice packs. But in terms of landscape, there are some nice landscape materials in the marketplace that are free, I guess, that you could use. I believe the landscape auto material became free. I'm not sure if for the month or forever, but there are several landscape materials that you could use in the marketplace. If you just type landscape auto material, then you will get it.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, Liam. Yeah, you can also get this character in our marketplace. All right. So, time to continue. There's still a lot of things to show. So, right now we only have a static material, which it's cool to start out, but if you want to make changes, you cannot. And the reason, if we go to our landscape and we go to our paint mode, we don't have any layer here we can use. And if you see here in our target layers, I'm not sure if it's easy to see or not, but here I cannot see any layer. And the reason is I haven't created any layer in my, in my landscape, in my material. So let's do that now. The way we're going to create these layers is we're going to go to our landscape. And there is a node called, if you type landscape, you will find landscape layer blend. And this is where people get confused about the auto material, like how it works. The auto material will be in the layer 0, just like this. It's like layer 0, this is my auto material. And layer 1 and 2 and 3 will be my manual layers that I paint by hand. So in any case, if you want to use your auto material, it's just at the beginning. Then if you want to paint anything more specific, you can always paint by hand. And that's actually what we do in games. The auto material doesn't solve everything, but it will solve a lot of problems. So if you want anything specific, just paint by hand. Okay, so we will do that now. How we're going to create those is we're going to create the layers. So the first layer we're going to call our auto material, just like that. Okay, and this will be our first layer. And then I have my, let's just say, create a new one, index 1, and this will be my layer 1. And let's create 3 more. This will be my layer 1. This will be my layer 2. This will be my layer 3. And this will be, this one will be my layer 4. All right. So I have my 4 layers, which corresponds to layer 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I have my auto material. And what we're going to do is to actually use this layer blend to create the materials. So we're going to our material blend standard, and this will be our auto material. So we can actually comment this and put something like auto material, just like that. Okay, so this will be our auto material, and we will plug this into our first layer. That way, our first layer always be our auto material, and we can paint on top anything we want. And we can always come back to this. So we will plug this one here. And now we will go to our different layers. let's just say I want my layer 1 to be, just keep this one for now, because we already have a layer 1 here and our conventions. So layer 1 will be this one. Layer 2 will be this one. Layer 3 will be this one. And finally, layer 4 will be this one. Oops. Drag again. Layer 4. Now we have our layers. And just like that, we are putting all our layers here, all our information, and everything should work. One thing before I put these ones, I want to make sure all my textures here are on wrap mode so that I can make use of my shader that actually allows me to have more textures. By default, you will only have 16. But if you want to add more materials, make sure you put the wrap mode here so you can put more than 16 texture samples in your landscape. Okay. So look what happened here. Everything became black. And the reason is now we are using our layers. And our layers doesn't have any information. And this information is that we need to paint. So we will go through each layer and we will create a weight asset. By default, it will create in my map location and call the level of the name of the level and then put shared assets. So I will click save here and it will create this asset here that I don't need to modify it. I mean, this is just some default properties. So I can do the same here. And you can already see that my auto material is working. And the reason is that layer 0 is flooded with all the color. So I will go to my weight blended material. And I will do the same for the rest of the materials. I put this one here. Then put this one here. And then put this one here. Great. I will save everything. And now what I can do is actually paint something. For example, if I want to paint grass, I can literally grab here and paint my grass here. I can do the same here and I can do something like this. And I can have my green lens. I can shift to delete or I can just click and paint. And now I have my grass here. And I can change the brush size to just manually paint these areas if I want to, and actually can create other transitions here, like, for example, something like this. We can create something like this. And, we can continue to modify our landscape. So what happens now if, well, what happens if you want to go back to your layer material? You can either shift click and hold the layer you want to delete, and you will go back to your layer material. Or you can right click here and click fill layer. And this will fill all your layers here with your auto material. You can do the same here with the grass. For example, you can fill the landscape with the grass material. And it will load for the first time. And now everything is grass. Or you can do the same here. Fill layer with your rock material. Or you can actually use your landscape auto material. Okay. So what we want to do now is to have our ability to spawn some meshes. And right now, if I click on my grass, I paint it. I have my grass. And it's nice that I have something like that, but I want to put some meshes here. And By default, I will use another layer. This layer I will call, this will be my layer 2. So I will call add a new index, and I will call L2 grass, something like that. L2 grass. And the layer 2 grass will be the same material. Okay. So I'm going to hit apply. And now I'm going to create my share asset. And now I can paint my grass here, just like I have in the other one. However, this one I want to spawn some meshes. And in order to do that, we need to use a new system in Unreal. Well, not new, but at least new for this demonstration. We're going to use the grass system. So the grass system allows us to spawn procedurally meshes in certain areas that we choose. In this case, we're going to spawn some meshes here for our grass, and we will put it on only this paint layer, because I want to have my grass layer here without grass in case I don't want it. So it's a good idea to always create new layers that actually have auto material generation, or better say procedural meshes generated. And the way we're going to do that, it's very simple. We're going to go to our landscape material, and we're going to type grass, and we're going to put landscape grass output. Okay, this output will put my meshes in the landscape. Okay, so the other thing I need to do is I go to landscape. I need a landscape layer sample. Okay, what this will do is to sample one of these layers, can be 1, 2, 3, or 4. But basically these ones, it will get the information of one of those. So I will put this one here, and I will get this information, and I will tell my grass layer, I want you to spawn meshes only in this layer. So the way we're going to do that is only use our L2 grass here, which is the name of the layer. Notice that the name needs to be exactly the same with capital letters, no spaces, and everything in order for this to work. Okay, so now our setup is almost complete. We just need to do something else. If I go to my content browser, let's go to our landscape auto material, and let's create, right click, foliage, and let's create a landscape grass type. And if I click here, I will create a new grass type. This will be my grass type. Let's just say, I don't know, it's grass. What can I say? Okay, so what this does is we'll spawn meshes here. So I can have an array of meshes. I can click here, and you will see I have some properties here. By default, I will use this cube, 1 meter cube, just to showcase what it does. And you will see that nothing has happened here. I should have the cube here. And the reason is my grass node is not linked to my new grass type I created. So if I click Control B to check this one in my content browser, I click here, and then I go to my landscape, and then click here again. Now we are using the grass type we just created. So we're going to click apply. And here we're going to pray for this to work. Okay. So we actually have some here, some cube here. Looks like we have some meshes here on the ground, but you know, it's fine. So the way we're gonna do this is, oops, we're going to our content browser. We're gonna change the grass type here. And you will see that I have some options like my density. I can put like 1000. And you will see, now I can see my cubes here. I can put something like 800 or 500, 400, 150. Okay. So now you will see my cubes spawn right when I paint my grass. So if I paint here, I will have more cubes here. And if I go here, can play, I have all my cubes here spawning, and also some cubes in the sky, which looks like a bug. So it's fine. Games have bugs. Um, so what you can do here actually is to spawn different types of meshes. For example, I can create a new type of mesh here. And this time I'm gonna choose maybe a sphere. Okay, I will put something like 10. And you will see that I'm placing this one basically on some parameters. I can change the jitter to basically put very uniform, or I can add some chaos. I can use random rotation. I can align to surface or not. And that's basically it. So what we're gonna do is to do something nicer. We're gonna go to our Megascans assets, and we have some assets here we could use in our 3D plans. We could use our type LOD0. Let's check this one. This one looks like it will do. So we're gonna click this one here. All right. And let's grab another one. Maybe this one, or not this one for sure. Okay, maybe this one. So this will be my second one. And if I go here, I cannot see anything. And that's because the density is very low. So if I click like 500, then I will have more density. So I will have like 800 here. And then I will have like 1000 here. What I can actually do is to change the minimum and maximum height. I can randomize this. For example, I can put 1 minimum and maximum 3. And this will make it even more obvious. And I can put max 2, maximum 3 here. So now when I play my game, I can have something like this, or I can have my grass here. And notice that it's only happening on the areas that I'm painting. So if I go to my landscape, let's say I don't want grass that doesn't have the mesh, I can easily paint this one and I won't have any mesh. In case I want, I can paint another one and this will have my grass mesh here. And I can spawn any type of mesh, just like you saw at the beginning. We can spawn cubes, we can spawn rocks, we can spawn anything we like. And we can actually create different types of grass types for different types of surfaces. Let's say you want to put more rocks here. We can actually put some rocks here and procedurally spawn all the rocks in our terrain without us to paint manually and place all the assets. Okay. So, before going further, any questions so far?
No. Um, not that I can see. It was pretty clear.
All right. Yeah, I saw that Liam is leaving. Thank you for being here, Liam.
Yeah.
It's also 11 p.m. here where I live.
Yeah, you're also in Asia.
Yeah, I'm also in Asia. So, let's keep going. Let's do one more thing before closing the landscape topic. so we can take a look at level instance blueprints. Okay, so if you see my landscape, it's fairly nice that we have this auto material, but it can look a little bit nicer. So what we can do is to actually grab this color that you remember here, and we can use this color to add unique colors to our landscape. So this is optional step if you want to put it or not, but I want to put an overlay. Okay, and what I want to do is my base will be this one, and then I will put my overlay color here, and I will put my base color here. And what happens is that I'm overlaying all my landscape. And this is very strong, which I don't want that. So what I will do is to put a lerp node, and I will put an alpha. I will put something like 0.1. I will put it here. On B, it will be the overlay node, which is 0.1. And on A will be our original base color, and I will put it here. And just like that, we are adding a little bit more variation to our landscape by using other colors here. Just a small color variation. If I go to my unlit mode, I can make this one a little bit more obvious, like 0.3. So let's just wait a second. Okay, maybe we need to wait more than 1 second. Okay. Yeah, compiling shaders. Now you can see you have the color overlay working a little bit more intense, which is maybe something you want, maybe not. In any case, it's nice to have this option in case you want to add some variation to your landscape. Now, let's move to open worlds. To do this, I'm going to export some Quixel assets. Here, I will add Quixel content. Let me see if I'm logging. Okay. And I already have some meshes here. These are not nanite. I just download them very quickly, and I will just add them to my project just like this. Okay. So how you want to create big worlds is, let's say you want to put a village here. Okay, let's say we will take this land and we will put houses here and man-made elements. And as you say, you put your block out. So you grab your cube here. You can put something like this. And you can put the floor, maybe like this, something like that. And you notice that this is, let's just say this is my hometown. This is my ruins. And I want to put this one in the world many times. Let's just say this is a very special asset. So if you want to decorate a big world, it's gonna take a while to just duplicate, put this one here. Oops. Let's just alt click. Make sure you're in world coordinates, otherwise you will go crazy. Here you can have world coordinates or local coordinates. So if you choose the world coordinates, you will use the world position to use the gizmo. So let's say you want to put this one here. And if we play our game, you can see how small this is. It's just this. And let's say you need to put like 10 of these things in your game. So what you can do, and I will delete this for now, is you can create a level instance blueprint from this. So I will grab all my meshes here, and I will right click and level instance and create from selection. And what this will do is to create an instance, let's just say it's like a level that contains all these assets. And I can create several instances of this level in my world. Let me grab some water first. Okay, so what you want to do is to put pack level instance blueprint. So it will pack all the blueprints, all your meshes into a blueprint. And you can change the pivot point to an actor, and you can choose which actor you want to put the pivot point on. In my case, I just want to put the minimum Z axis, which is fairly in the center and in the bottom, just like here, just maybe around here. Okay, so I will just put this one here and click OK. And I will name this mesh mass ruins 01. And I will also create a blueprint called BPP mass ruins 01. All right. Now that I do that, what I can do is to actually duplicate this asset and put it in other places here. And let's just say you want your asset here. So if you want this to be a little bit nicer, you can go to a landscape. Let's go to our layer 1. And we can sculpt and actually sculpt holding shift down, just like that. We can actually flatten this one here. Just like that. Let's sculpt this one like this and then flatten. Just like this. And this will create some options for us to put our landscape. Of course, I can actually put a flat here, flat everything, and then go here and then move this one like this here. And I can keep modifying my landscape. I can smooth it out until I'm happy with the results, or I can sculpt something here, can smooth here until I have something that I'm happy with. Okay. And because we're working with layers, we can always go back to our original. We can modify this one, -1 or +1, which is the original one, or 0 if you want to remove the layer intensity of this one. These edit layers are super handful on having edits in your terrain without destroying the work you did before. So let me save everything. And look what happened now is that I have this blueprint here, but if I want to modify it, look what I will do here. I will right click, edit, and I will select my BPP mass ruins one. And notice that everything turns black and white. Okay, and I can modify this one. Let's say I want to put something like this, and then put another big one here, or maybe some kind of walls that I can use here like this. And I can duplicate this one. Okay, something like this. And now what I will do is right click, commit, and click BPP mass ruins. Save selected. And you will see that all my assets have been updated. And I can just duplicate this one and put it in another place here. Let's just say here. And this way is a very powerful, way to create your blueprints. So normally when you're blocking out your map, you will use this kind of meshes to quickly block out the map. So let's say I will play with this and I will try the game. I will say, okay, this is fairly nice. So let's try to decorate it. So very simple. I can just go to my content browser and I can select my assets here, static mesh, and I have a bunch of assets that I can use. What I can do is to find the Japanese ones we just created, maybe these ones, and we will put here like this. So before doing that, let's right click, edit, edit mass blueprint, and we will just drag and drop all these assets here. I will do something like this. Okay. And actually, let's move this one. It's not what I want. Put something very straight like this. Okay. And now we can play with this to have different meshes. Can duplicate this one, put something like this, or we can actually delete our blockout, which we don't need anymore. We can do something like this. You can put your floor mesh like this. You can rotate it a little bit. You can put something like this. And also you can move it up a little bit to have some variation. Come try some other meshes here. For example, this one. You can try something like this to put here. And maybe you want some stairs. Something like this. We can put the stairs here. And we can create something like this. And this is how we can create. Okay. So we can create our walls like this. Okay. Can rotate this one. Create something like this if you want. And duplicate this one to have, just some different assets. And I go here, then I put this one here, and I don't need this anymore. Let's go back here. We will put the Japanese pillar here, something like this. And we will delete all these pillars here. And we will put it here like this. Just like that. And here we will put something, I don't know, maybe not Japanese, but just grab this one. Just, just because we can. Buddha meets the Roman Empire. And maybe the head of this guy here. Just like that. Okay, so right click, commit, and then save the changes. Save selected, save our blueprint, and look what happens. All my instances have been updated with my new blueprint. So let my shaders compile. I can actually go here, and if I see that these ones are floating, I can just right click, edit, and I can grab all of those and move them down. Right click, commit, save selected, save the blueprint, and all my blueprints will be updated. So now when I right click and play from here, now I have something in my map that I can use. And of course, we can add collision to this. It's very easy to add collision. In Unreal, we can go here and hit apply, collision. Now we have it. Let's do the same for this ones. Okay, this one also, apply collision. Collision has significant improvements since Unreal Engine 5, so it's really nice addition. Okay. So this is how you create open worlds. And you can go here and you can have something in your game really fast. As you can see, I have different ruins here for my map. And I can always go here to my landscape and I can modify this one. So I can sculpt here, just like that, smooth a little bit. Sculpt again here. So I can have something really nice. And I can use my auto material to actually populate the grass here if I want to make it a little bit interesting. So I can play from here. And now I have my materials working and I have my blueprints working. I will reopen the map because it looks like it's getting a little bit laggy. So I will save all and new level. Actually, I will reopen Unreal. So just for a second, let's close this. Let's save everything. Let's yes to everything. And we will go here and open.
Yeah, it's a friendly reminder that it's still an early access, even though it doesn't look like it. But yeah, there
Yep.
sometimes weird stuff happens.
I cannot find my Unreal level. Oh, there you are. Okay, so open recent levels, level auto material. Right, so let the shaders compile. That's it for myself, what I want to show. I also have, like, if I go here, I have different mass blueprints that I created that I can use for my levels. Something like this could be used easily in your landscape. And the way I create those is by using level instance blueprints. So it's just the same. Nothing changes. And you can see how using level instance blueprints and your landscapes can really help you to create worlds much faster. I mean, I can just right click, edit, make this one bigger, commit. And now all my meshes have changes and this one is a little bit bigger. And I can do the same for the ground. Say you want to have some ground here. You can just put it like this. You don't really depend entirely on the landscape. You can use any type of method you want in order to achieve any kind of result. The landscape is just there to help you out.
Yeah, and even though it's the same level instance blueprint, you just rotate it and it feels different. So with more complex stuff, you won't really be able to notice that it's the same thing, like pasted a lot of times in the map.
Yeah, correct. One rule of thumb, anytime you create a game asset, make sure it looks different from all the angles. so that I can easily right click here and I can duplicate this asset and I can rotate it. And now this asset looks different from this one. It's the same, it's just rotated. If you make all your assets look the same from this angle and this angle, you lose a lot of opportunity to reuse the assets you create. So it's a really nice tip to actually use different angles in your meshes so that you can have more variations.
Yeah,
And you can see that I can use my landscapes to just take care of these parts.
good stuff. I'm not seeing any other question, but we can wait a little bit if anyone has.
Sure. In the meanwhile, I can show you how to take this level to make it a little bit nicer. So if I click Control L, I can rotate my sun. I can have like the sunset view. Okay. And uh, one thing you can add to your levels that actually make it look great is you go to visual effects, you go to exponential height fog, and suddenly everything looks much nicer. And the reason is we are adding depth into our scene. And depth is one of the things that in games you need to fake a lot in order to, usually we're not able to create very, very big worlds, unless you're making an open world, of course. But it's the illusion of depth that gives the players the feeling that the world is actually bigger than it should. And just by putting this, you can sense that the world is much bigger. So if I go to my exponential fog properties, I will make sure that in my project settings, if I type fog, I will put support sky atmosphere affecting height fog. And the reason I want to do this is because my sun has colors, and right now I'm losing my tint for my sunset. And the reason is my fog is actually adding more, it's adding on top of the color of the sunset. So I need to put this one to 0. And you can already see what's going on. And my directional instancing to 0. And now my fog will actually be in the same color as my landscape. And you can play with the settings. You can increase the fog density or the distance or the fog height. You can do a lot of stuff here. And actually, if we go to our sky atmosphere actor, we can change this one. We can change the color, look like Jojo. This is also Jojo. Basically, any number that is too big will make your game look like Jojo. So fogs are extremely nice addition, and we can use them in an array of different ways to add more cinematic feelings. You can also go to our directional light and go to our light shaft and light bloom. You can add the bloom if you want a more cinematic feeling. And you can have the bloom scale, or you can change the light shaft. So you can see that I'm having some rays that are coming from the sun here that are really nice. So what I want to do is to duplicate this one and put this one here again. Okay. It's amazing how easy it is to create. these worlds in Unreal. All right, so one last thing. Let's take a nice screenshot before wrapping it up. Let's drag our amazing knight. Let's go here to blueprint. Let's put our knight here. Let's grab a nice shot for him. And let's create a cinematic camera. So if I go to cinematic, camera actor, I can click here and then pilot. So I can choose where I want my actor to be. I can put this guy here. All right. And what I can do is to go to my camera settings and I can change the settings a little bit. I can click the focus on this guy, control the focus actually, have like the cinematic feeling. And I can change the focal length to something like 100. Something like this. And what I can do is to debug this one, just like this. And I can just move my landscape here. All right. So that's it for my side. We went through a lot here. We went through the landscape auto material, how to import meshes, how to paint automatic grass in our landscape, just like this. And we've been to fog. We've been to a lot of things. Let's take this guy. Look at the horizon, just like he's a winner. So. All right, and so we know how to import landscapes. We know how to get the maps out of War Machine, just like here. We know how to use the maps in our project, in our landscapes, landscape auto material here. We know how to use those height maps to create our auto material. We understand how the layer blends work and how the grass node system works in Unreal to spawn procedural terrains. And we also took a look at the level instancing to quickly create levels in your game. Actually, this is a really nice screenshot. If you want to take a screenshot of this, just click here, high resolution screenshot. You can change the resolution here. I will just click one. And here I can just take a look at my screenshot. So that's it for me. I don't know if you want to add something before wrapping it up.
No, I have not seen any other question. Just add, like, thanks for coming to the stream. We really appreciate all the questions and the interactions we have in the chat. And yeah.
Yeah, we will see you in the next one.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.